Hello everyone, my name is Melodramatic Melissa. I am a fourth year medical student and today I will be teaching you how to study anatomy. Alright, so the way this video is gonna work is that I'm going to be dividing it into three different parts. So the first segment of this video will be teaching you about how to actually study, the basics. The second part of the video will be teaching you how to study anatomy, both the practical and the theoretical. And for the third part of this video, I'll be giving you resources and tips to study anatomy. Also, there will be timestamps down in the description and there will be links to any YouTubers I've mentioned so far. Let's go. Now for the first part, how to study. So now there are three simple steps to literally studying anything and everything you want. The first is understanding, the second is putting to paper, and the third is memorizing and consolidation. So let's go through each of these steps one by one and see what they actually mean. So when I say understanding is the first step, by this I mean watching the YouTube videos, googling words you might not understand, using ChatGPT to simplify complicated concepts. So when people see new content for the first time, a common mistake is to think they need to memorize and understand this concept straight away in order to move on to their next task. Well, it doesn't work this way, and you want to know why? This is because your brain is like a sponge. It slowly needs to absorb new content in order to have long-term retention and form like your new neural pathways. So by watching YouTube videos, by googling words you don't understand, by asking ChatGPT to explain to you like you were a toddler, you will be able to understand the bigger picture of what the topic is asking for you. Understanding is the first step, always. Moving on, putting to paper. Now, after understanding, you're not done yet, because when I say put to paper, I mean making small, concise notes from your videos, your lectures, your textbooks. And this small note should include definitions, labels, diagrams, etc. It is simply not enough to highlight key phrases in your textbook, because come exam season you will have to go through the entire book and you will waste your time when you should be revising. So putting to paper is making small, easily digestible notes. So come exam season, you would have summarized a 50-page textbook into 5 pages of your own notes. These small notes should contain the most highest yield information. You shouldn't write down the entire book because, then you'll be reading a textbook, so yeah, don't do that. Lastly, the third and final but most important step of your study is memorizing and consolidation. And by memorizing and consolidation, I mean making flashcards and using past papers after you have finished studying and understanding the concept. So by flashcards, I mean using Anki or Quizlet or any other flashcard taking app you can find. By past papers, I mean doing past paper questions from your seniors or wherever you can find them to make sure that you're on the right track. Now, I'm a firm believer in using Anki as your note-taking app. I know you've heard this a lot of the time, but it has seriously helped me pass most, if not all, of my medical school exams, especially when I put in the effort to do my reviews every single day. Now, Anki incorporates active recall and spaced repetition into your learning, because after you've understood and you have put to paper, you can still forget all of this information in like a week, and that doesn't help anyone. But if you make Anki flashcards from your notes and regularly do them every day with at least 2 rest days a week, you will retain most of the information and you will be shocked at how much your brain can store. Even months after the exam, you're still recalling crucial information that will help you in your clinical years. Plus, you're less likely to forget a question that you've seen multiple times. Now, towards the exams, doing past paper questions and getting most of the answers right ensures that you fully studied the subject and understood it to the highest standard. Now, if you're not into making flashcards, even though I really recommend it, you can try other forms of consolidation, such as making mind maps or even like writing down questions from your notes and quizzing yourself on what the answers could be. And I actually did this for my medicinal chemistry exam in first year because I was too overwhelmed by Anki and just simply writing down every question I could think of and trying to come up with the answers on my own, and just like a sheet of paper was enough for me to pass the exam. So Anki doesn't work for everyone, but I don't think you should rule it out without trying it first. Right, so that concludes the first part of this video on how to study. Next, I'll be teaching you how to study anatomy. As we know, studying anatomy can be divided into the practical aspect and the theoretical aspect. In the practical aspect, we learn the anatomical locations and names of your various organs, muscles, nerves, arteries, etc. And in the theoretical aspect, we learn their functions and actions. Now, when you move into an apartment or a house for the first time, are you going to find out how the new washing machine works? No, you will not. You're going to first divide the apartment or house into sections and figure out where the living room is, where the bathroom is, where the bedroom is. This is exactly how anatomy works. So the same with anatomy, when studying, I will start with the practical aspect to know the names and anatomical locations of whatever it is that you are learning, just so that you can have like a visual image. And then I will go on to the theoretical aspect, because with this visual image, I can envision what their actions and what their functions might be. How do you actually study for the practical aspect of anatomy? We're going to be using the same 3 steps to study anything as I have previously mentioned: understanding, putting to paper, and memorizing and consolidation. So first of all, understanding. What do we do to understand the practical aspect of anatomy? First of all, we need a bigger picture. So what we're going to do is that we're going to watch videos. Before starting to study anything, especially the practical, we watch videos, and you should be specific when putting like something into the search engine of YouTube. Anatomy of the thorax or bones of the upper limbs. Things like this will give you videos that you need, easy, concise. Now, good YouTubers for this practical aspect, some Webster, very good, Dr. Matt and Mike, and of course Ninja Nerd. These YouTubers are good for that initial grasp of the practical aspect of anatomy. They teach you the locations, they teach you the names, things like this. There are really good YouTubers that show you live cadavers as well on YouTube, and I'll talk about this later on in the video. Next, putting to paper. Now, for the practical aspect, I mean making small notes and drawings from your textbook. And by textbook, I mean either your Netters Atlas or your Color Atlas. And I actually still have my Netters Atlas after 3 years. So basically, your atlas is a big, massive book that gives you parts of the human body and basically labels it. And that's all it does. It just multiple like parts of the body and it labels it correctly. So your atlas is your Bible essentially. Now, as you're doing this, as you put into paper, make sure you make it enjoyable for yourself. And by this, I mean if you like colors, you like highlighting, you like making your notes pretty, do everything you can to make sure that you're fully engaged in the knowledge that you are absorbing, because you will need it. Research shows that highlighting is actually a distraction, but if it works for you, keep doing it, because you need all of the motivation you can to pass the subject. Now, the third way to study for the practical aspect of anatomy is memorizing and consolidation. Again, by this I mean your flashcards, your Anki, your Quizlets. I mean, take pictures and screenshots of your atlas. Find drawings online or on KenHub or on Teach Me Anatomy. Try and blot out the names of the structures it is pointing towards and make a flashcard out of it. Now, if you don't like making flashcards or you find it too much of a long process, search on Google for pre-made desks. And by this I mean pre-made decks are basically flashcards that other medical students have made and have basically put it up on the internet for everyone in the world to use. So there's pre-made decks for everything. There's pre-made decks for Anki's on just anatomy. There's pre-made decks for on Quizlet as well. So just type in pre-made deck, anatomy of the upper limbs, or just anatomy, and free flashcards online will pop up for you to just download and use as you wish. Of course, you might have to edit it a bit. Finally, the most important tip I can give you for the practical aspect of anatomy is basically to pay attention in class. Try and compare the live cadavers to your atlas. Ask questions. At the end of the day, you don't have cadavers lying around at home for you to practice with. At least I hope you don't. So pay attention in class. How to study for the theoretical aspect of anatomy. Now, very much like what I told you, we start again from our 3 steps: our understanding, our putting to paper, our memorizing and consolidation. So for understanding, we do this by watching videos in order to get the bigger picture. So I recommend Ken Hub and Sam Webster. They are very, very good YouTubers, but really any YouTuber that you can find that explains it, which is perfect for you, you can do this as well. Put into paper. Make notes from your textbooks and websites such as Ken Hub or Teach Me Anatomy. And now I have a confession. I know I said in my first video that the most important books you need are your Netter's Atlas and your Moore's Clinical Oriented Anatomy. I didn't actually use the Clinical Oriented Anatomy to study because it was such a massive book, and I was so overwhelmed. So instead, I mainly used my atlas for the practical aspect. And for the theoretical aspect, I focused more on BRS, which I'll talk about later, and also the anatomy recall book. So yeah, I think only like 2% of my year actually studied from the entire book, but I said it because the exam questions will be coming from the Moors, so have that in mind. Like I said, I used this little book here called BRS, and it's essentially a condensed version of Moore's, and it explains everything in a short, simple, sweet, concise manner. You get most of the information you need instead of it waffling around the place. So yeah. Now, memorizing and consolidation. Again, using your flashcards, making flashcards from your notes. And another book I would like to talk to you about is Anatomy Recall, which is basically just a question bank of each of the various parts of anatomy. So it will have questions on everything to do with thorax, like the bones, the muscles, the nerves, questions on anything to do with upper limb, lower limb, etc. So definite for you to have for your practical is your atlas. Any atlas you have, the color atlas, the Netter's Atlas. Now for the theoretical, a definite you should have is your BRS. You can find an online PDF as well, and you should have your anatomy recall book, which is your question bank. These 3 books essential for anatomy. Now on to the third and final part of this video, resources and tips to help you study anatomy. So books. So for the practical aspect of anatomy, like I said, your atlas is the most important thing you need. It is like your Bible or your Quran. Number 1, the Netter's Atlas. It's really important as it shows you the labeled diagrams and structures of different aspects of the body. We're talking your nerves, your arteries, your veins, your muscles, your bones, things like this. And now it's also important to have a color atlas. Your color atlas is the second book you need for your practical. It is essentially just like Netter's, except that it shows you real life labeled cadavers, and this labeled cadavers will be similar to your actual practical exam. So I think it's very, very useful to have as well. You can find this in the library, by the way, or just download a PDF. So having a Netter's Atlas having a Netter's Atlas and also having a color atlas is very important in helping you identify the pins on your practical exam. Of course, nothing beats your practical classes. Now for theoretical, books you will need are the Moore's Clinical Oriented Anatomy. Again, I said this because it isn't in your book list. Next, we have the BRS Gross Anatomy. This is a small, tiny book that basically condenses all the information you have in your big, massive textbook that your school might recommend. And yeah, very, very essential because it does not overwhelm you as a new student. Now, the fifth book you will need is your Anatomy Recall. And like I said, it is a mini question bank that tests you on your knowledge of the various parts of your anatomy. So, tests you on your knowledge of your thorax, abdomen, etc. Next, what apps and websites do you need as a first year student who is trying to study anatomy? KenHub. I use KenHub as it is an amazing resource as it gives you easy to understand videos and helps you with your foundation for anatomy as a beginner. It also offers a built-in atlas and it has both free and paid options. Some of KenHub's videos can actually be seen on YouTube, so if you want to have a little gander of it and see if it's actually worth it to purchase, then try the free version on YouTube and see what you think. Next, Teach Me Anatomy. Now, Teach Me Anatomy is one of the best free resources for anatomy ever. It literally is like anatomy dictionary with quick and easy explanation. It doesn't have videos, but its interactive website gives you just as much info as any other video channel would. This 3D anatomy learning app. This 3D app offers a three-dimensional view of several parts of the body. A very convenient app to have as it is on your phone or your iPads. It's good for visualizing the body's arteries, veins, nerves, bones, etc. Next, YouTubers for your theoretical knowledge. Following YouTubers helped me countless amount of times to pass my anatomy theoretical exam. And the first one is Dr. Matt and Mike. I liked them because they had very short, sweet, and concise videos. Next is Ninja Nerd. Now, I don't watch all of Ninja Nerd's videos because they are so long, but the ones in which he has props for, I do watch. Like, there was one where he was talking about the bones of the skull, and he had a lovely skull with him, and he basically explained the parts, and that video was amazing. So I would look for the videos which have props in it, but of course if his extended videos work for you, then they work for you. Sam Webster is the third YouTuber that I recommend for theoretical knowledge. This is because he takes you back to the whiteboard. He explains things in such a calm manner. His videos are slightly long, not as long as Ninja Nerds though, but he makes sure you don't feel dumb or stupid while teaching you the concepts, and it's just, he's an amazing person. I think you should definitely watch his videos. The following YouTubers helped me for the practical aspect of anatomy because they showed live cadavers, and I'm just gonna list them all here. So the first one is Adivine Anatomy, the second one is Dr. Bhanu Prakesh, the third one is Anatomy Department Jam Nang Gang 3565, and the fourth is UBC Medicine 2020 Flex Team. As a reminder, yet again, nothing will ever be as good as your practical classes with the cadavers. YouTubers I have mentioned show you real life cadavers, and they are good for your practical exams because again, you do not have random bodies lying at home. So that's all guys, this is my second official video, and to recap, I have taught you three things. The first one is how to study anything. The second is how to actually study anatomy, the practical and the theoretical aspect, and the third, I gave you resources to help you in studying anatomy. So that's all for today guys. Like and subscribe if you found value in my content, and also check out my last video where I talked about 10 things you need to know before coming to Poland, and I plan on making more videos related to anatomy in the coming future, so stick around and find out. Bye.